All right, today's the day. Today we find out if she can go back to work. Yesterday Dad and I got the axle put back together on the finisher. Monday night I put the new light switch in that. And then I got my grill lights figured out on this. For some reason, don't know why, the ground for that circuit to those two front headlights just completely disappeared. Like I got no ground. And naturally the ground wire disappears into the wire harness and comes back up into here somewhere. I don't know where it's grounded to. And I got a wiring diagram, but that doesn't tell you where the ground wire hooks to. So at some point I might have to trace that down and figure it out. But so for now I ran a temporary ground wire up there to get the lights working. And then the left light was the one that quit working on dim. Well, for some reason the jumper wire that jumps power from the right light to the left light, because everything goes to the left light and then goes over, that wire lost continuity, so I had to make a jumper wire between those two to fix that. And I managed to do everything without modifying the original harness. So when I get time to fix it correctly, I can just put the factory harness back in there and you'll be none the wiser. But for now I just got some jumper wires in there doing the job. So we're fixing to find out. They delivered fuel yesterday, so this is full, that's full, tank's full. I got fuel for days. I do at some point need to stop and get a bigger hitch pit. It's supposed to be 1.25 inches, and the biggest I got is 1 1/8. But we'll use the 1 1/8 for now. So I'm gonna do some greasing while she's warming up, and we'll go give her a test run. Well, it's the moment of truth. So what we're gonna do, my biggest problem with this finisher behind the 150 was always I needed to be able to pull it a little deeper and a little faster. And now that I got the horsepower, I can do that. So we're gonna take these guys off. Put this guy on and see where that gets us. Let me go ahead and get this thing off transport right quick. Here right quick and see how tacky the wet spot is. I don't think it's terrible. Get it broke open, it should dry out. Yeah, it's a little tacky, but not. There's water standing there in them spots where I left ruts with the spreader, but those will never dry up as long as they're there. So we can just plow through those, push them back shut. They probably won't dry up for a while even after it's worked, but so the plan, I was trying to figure out how I wanted to work this. I told them I'm not working Saturday. I told them I got to have a good weekend, so which that was okay with work, so we're good there. And my initial thought was I'm going to start on beans. My initial thought was get some beans in the ground here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then switch to corn this weekend. Well, the more I thought about it, it's like my bean acres are down this year. Now normally I try to keep it roughly half and half depending on how the rotation works out. Well, this year with all the ground I picked up being bean ground last year and some of it being beans on beans, I really wanted to get corn on that ground, because soybean cyst nematode is kind of starting to run rampant around here, and the best defense against that is to get beans off of it. So anyway, thinking about it today, my new plan is I am just going to get rolling on beans, get them knocked out. If I have a good weekend, get started, hopefully get started planting tomorrow, or I might keep fitting ground. We'll see how things go. I don't know if I should just jump on fitting ground. That actually might be the best thing to do, is just start fitting ground today, tomorrow, Friday, get stuff around to, or get stuff moved over here to start planting, and then start planting on possibly Friday evening, and then Saturday, and whatever else I need. But anyhow, jump on beans, get all my beans planted that are going in with the drill, and then that way once I get started on corn, all I gotta do is be concerned about corn until I get done, and then we'll switch the planter over and get the muck taken care of and finish up on them 30-inch beans down in the muck. So that's kind of my plan. So anyhow, it's no sense in stalling any longer because I'm already nervous enough. So Well, that was successful. No funny sounds, no funny smells. Temperature settled in about 174, 175 degrees. And just kind of hung out there. Yeah, it's like you just quit using it yesterday. Hydraulics worked fine. The only problem I had was ran through that wet spot one time to break it open, and then plugged three of my front baskets and one of the back ones. That's the other thing I don't like about this rolling basket is you just sneeze wrong and it plugs itself with mud. Rest of the field 100% perfect, ready to roll. This, like, right here, there's a little arc right out to and right up here was fine. So probably gonna let this spot dry out I'll let it dry out for a couple days, and then before I come down to drill it, come down one more time and hit it after it's dried some. The spot where the water was, that'll probably never dry, because that spot just never dries up. That's always the wettest damn spot in the entire field. There must be a spring there. Surprisingly, the one that's normally here was not wet at all. There's normally one right about here, but this time it was just that one. So, but I am going to, because I kind of forgot, I was going to the other day when I was working on lights, and then the night ran along. I'm going to stop before we go to the next field, so I'm heading back that way anyhow, and clean the windows on that thing, because they're kind of scuzzy, and as the sun goes down, it's going to get a little harder to see. back to Mom and Dad's, I should say. Everything went pretty darn good. The only major boo-boo, and it was my fault, in my... Not gonna lie, I was a little bit of a nervous, I may not have sounded like it, but I was a little bit of a nervous wreck when we first got rolling down there at Grandma and Grandpa's. And in my swimmy headedness, I only took one transport lock off the landing gear on the finisher. I only took this one off. That one I left on, and without both of them on there, it's got enough downforce, it sheared one of the pins off for the transport lock. It's an easy fix. It's like a 1-inch pin, only welded on one side, so, and it broke off flush, so grind the welds off the other side and knock the pin out and put a new one in and weld it, and you're good. Shouldn't even have to take the axle out of the finisher to fix it. So that was my bad. But tractor ran great. The only thing that popped up was, probably, I've been done for a minute, and then my buddy Chris stopped as I was pulling out of the field. He was just getting home, so I stopped talking to him. But probably about 25 minutes, somewhere in there, before I got done with that field, the power shift filter bypass light flickered on. And then you drop under about 1750 RPM, it'll go back out and stay out, and then you bump it back up and it'll start to flicker back on a little bit, and then it'll come on. So, but that doesn't necessarily surprise me, because I guarantee you the detergent in that new oil, between the working the power shift and sloshing around in there and cleaning I guarantee you that we're cleaning all sorts of nasty crap out of there. And it's a fairly fine micron filter on that power shift, so it doesn't worry me really. That means the filter's doing its job and we're cleaning everything out. It wouldn't surprise me at some point before we're done if I don't see the hydraulic filter bypass come on too. I guarantee you we're probably going to plug a filter on it, but maybe not. So, and it wouldn't surprise me if it doesn't take one or two more power shift filters to get it completely cleaned out, but time will tell. The power shift works great. The more I run it, the better the transmission brake works. The better the brakes work. The more you run it, the better everything works. It doesn't smoke. I mean, it'll smoke a little bit when you start to load it up. And the only time it really knows that finisher's back there is if you hit a low spot and still got some tack to it, and then she knows she's back there. But I was running in second gear D range on the power shift at 2100 RPM, which is basically exactly 6 miles an hour according to speedometer, and that's just about, for the job the finisher was doing, that's probably just about perfect. That was a pretty good spot to run it at the depth I was running and everything. That was doing a really nice job. So, but I guess tomorrow I'm going to call, hopefully that filter crosses over to a Napa. That way it's something I can get right now instead of having to wait on AGCO. But if not, it's something I got to wait on, then I don't really, the book says you can keep running it that way as long as you don't use the power shift much. So basically they say pick a gear and run it in that gear. But I really don't want to keep running it that way. So if I can't get a filter for it, we will start moving equipment and jump on starting to plant some beans. But it's going to go one way or the other. So we will catch you guys tomorrow. All right, don't mind the state of the yard. It is bugging the ever-loving hell out of me, but I don't have time to mow, and hopefully I can have Shelly do it this weekend. But her shoulder's been bothering her, so I don't know if I want her mowing either. That would probably hurt her even worse. So we'll see how that goes, or how that turns out. Otherwise I might be brush hogging it. But anyhow, so I got filters coming for the 4270. I got 2 of them coming. Naturally, the AGCO number does not cross over to a Napa or Baldwin number, at least directly. So which in a normal situation wouldn't be a problem because normally you shouldn't have to change that in season. But until we get her all cleaned out, which is going to take a while because there's all sorts of little nooks and crannies and passages and everything in there to hide stuff in that's going to have to be cleaned out. So it's just, that is one of the side effects of equipment getting more complicated, because if you had a situation on this old girl where your transmission is literally just a case full of gears, there's no power shift, there's no brakes, there's no nothing to worry about. If you had a bunch of in the rear end like that tractor did, you just dump her full of diesel fuel and you go run it up and down the road a couple of times to slosh it around and clean everything up. You bring it back, you dump the diesel, you put your gear oil in, and you're good to go. But when brakes and clutch packs and all that stuff's involved, you can't really do that. So it's gonna have to kind of have to be what it's gonna be, and it's just gonna take time. This old girl definitely due for sub tires. We get through this spring, girl, and we're gonna take care of that, because we're pretty thin in the skin. So with that being said, I got two coming from Mabaugh. They had to order them. They drop shipped them, or we're gonna try to drop ship them right to the warehouse for me, right from the warehouse for me. So hopefully I see them tomorrow, and then I guess I'm gonna have to do some investigating and see what the specs are, and see if I can figure out what exactly the specs are on that filter. I don't know if it's such a thing. If I ask Mabaugh if they could get with Agco and see if there's like a spec sheet or something for that filter, and figure out, because really if you got the right thread pitch, and it's a standard, I mean the thread pitch and the mounting face, that's all standard, nothing special about that. So really just need the micron rating, and unless they got some goofy something or other going on inside of it for like a valve or something, whatever, I can't believe they would have went out and had some custom filter made specifically for this power shift. It's got to be an off-the-shelf filter, and Agco just for some reason, or just, it can't be as difficult as they're making it be. There's got to be an off-the-shelf filter that, because I mean it's just a standard spin-on filter can. There's nothing special about it at all, at least on the outside. But with that being said, I don't want to risk running that thing and screwing anything up with that filter being plugged. So we're gonna start planting, which doesn't break my heart neither, because we can get the process rolling. And the worst part of planting is the first day, both of beans and corn, because you got to get everything out, get everything hooked up, get everything in place, get everything going. And then once you do everything the first time, it's faster after that. We just got to get all the equipment in place and where it needs to be, and blah 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 blah. So I need the 66 to drill over there. I need the 1955 over there to pull. Well, first I want to hook the little field cultivator on it real quick, buff that wet spot one more time at Grandma and Grandpa's. And then need the 1955 on the color mulcher to roll beans, and then I need the bean wagon over there because obviously that's got my beans in it. So I'm gonna hook, just so I can do it in fewer trips, hook the bean wagon behind the 1955, drive those two over there. Probably throw the 1955 on the cultivator real quick while I'm over there, buff that wet spot. That way it's got a little bit of time to dry while we're getting the 66 to drill over there. So anyhow, that's the ranting and raving for this afternoon. So let me get hooked up and we'll be on our merry way. back up, and it's a lot nicer than it was. It's still a little chunky, but it's fluff underneath, so let that dry out, and by the time I get here it should be good enough to plant. But this friggin' wet spot, I'll tell you what, and that spot right there where there's still water, there will be water standing there as long as there's water standing in this ditch. That spot does not dry up until this ditch dries up. And because the water doesn't flow, because, you know, we let our trees grow right in the middle of the damn ditch, this could be here for another week, week and a half. Meanwhile, the entire field is fit to plant other than right here. Which, this right here is not terrible. This is just good old chunky Michigan clay, but that spot is a pain in the ass. It's right where you want to be turning around on an end row. So, I'm gonna go get unhooked from the field cultivator, get hooked onto the pull mulcher, and then we'll go get the 66 in the drill. Alright, we got fuel, we got seed, we got, that's really what we need is fuel and seed. So, nothing to it but to do it. Oh, need to put my marker on it. I should have enough time or enough daylight tonight to get this field done, and I'll call that a win. If I can get snuck down and do that other 2 1/4 down the road, be even better, but we'll see how things go. So, pitter patter. Let's get at it. this first 9 is done. New clutch on the drill is working flawlessly. I like that design a lot better than what was on it originally. This is just, that's how a planter clutch should be. That's good stuff. So I think I have just enough daylight, 9:15. Seed usage came out pretty damn close to right. Should be about a bag an acre. And this thing generally, depending on seed size, holds between 10 and 11 bags, and there's probably about a bag and a half left in there. So seed usage is pretty spot on. But I think I got just enough daylight. If I get the drill refilled, we can go down and do that 2-acre piece just across the road, or just across the intersection here. But first I got to get this full, get my hopper on the wagon cleaned out. That way, it's because I'll just leave the wagon sit here overnight. Ain't nobody gonna mess with it. And see what time it is when I get done with that, 'cause that's gonna take 15 minutes or so. So, well, probably about 9:30. So we'll see how things go. Back to Mom and Dad's. That's a good stopping point for tonight. It's further than I thought I'd make it, but so that's a win. But all in all, not too bad for not getting off work till 5 o'clock and then 2 hours of dicking around trying to get equipment where it needs to be. So hopefully tomorrow when I get off of work, I'll have a couple oil filters sitting here for me so we can get back to work and ground. Otherwise, I guess I still got 14 acres to go of ground that's fit to go. So we'll have to see how things play out, but that'll be for the next video. So with that being said, that's it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one.